things are not looking so great for the current world's tallest roller coaster, Kingda Ka. This is Theme Park Brandon, and even though I recently made a video regarding the future of Six Flags Great Adventures Kingda Ka, believe it or not, but a lot has changed since then. I will also share with you 3 realistic ideas on how Great Adventure could open up their largest expansion in recent memory later in the video. A few people now have told me that Kingda Ka and Zumanjaro Falls, the park's Intamin freefall tower that's attached to Kingda Ka structure, are both scheduled to be closed forever at the end of 2024. Yes, 2024. Apparently, the clock is much shorter on the fate of Kingda Ka than we all once thought. So this means that I recommend you stop what you're doing right now and start planning a trip to Six Flags Great Adventure in November or even December, because rumor has it Kingda Ka might be open until the end of the year. Because if you do not, then your chances of riding Kingda Ka may be snatched up by the roller coaster Grim Reaper. With the merger of Cedar Fair and Six Flags, one would have to assume that this difficult decision is coming more from the Cedar Fair side of things than the former Six Flags side of things, and you are right about that. To make things even more intriguing, as I mentioned in previous videos, the future of the park's stand-up coaster, the Green Lantern, is also up in question. Now, it's crazy to think that all 3 of these attractions are currently being scheduled and planned for removal. And removal soon. To wrap your head around this, honestly, is just insane to think about. Why would Six Flags decide it's time to remove the world's tallest coaster and, mind you, the fastest current coaster in operation? I honestly do not want to believe it, but the more I hear about it from multiple people, the more I'm believing it. Now, with any rumor you hear, you have to take it with a grain of salt. And honestly, I wish I could do it with this one. But sadly, I'm having difficulty doing that. Because with the past coaster removals that Cedar Fair has done at their parks, I feel like the new Six Flags has a plan for this front area of Six Flags Great Adventure that would be just as successful long term, but also cost a lot less money to maintain each year. Now let's be honest, no one is going to be missing the Green Lantern. Kingda Ka, on the other hand, if true, with each day passing, I believe it more and more that this will become the biggest and most shocking coaster removal in the history of the coaster industry. After all, Kingda Ka is only 19 years old. It debuted at the park in 2005. On the flip side of that, the thing that really intrigues me is about the size of this area. If Great Adventure would remove the Green Lantern and Kingda Ka, you're looking at 15 acres to be exact. Now that's not including the parking lot, which obviously the park could always extend into the parking lot for this massive expansion. And if this is the case, and the new Six Flags plan is to redevelop every piece of this area of Great Adventure, then perhaps we're looking at the single biggest expansion in the history of Great Adventure. But the big question is, what could Six Flags Great Adventure do with this area? Well, good news for you is I'm going to share with you 3 ideas that I have on how this park can proceed with this potential expansion, and I think you're really going to like them. Then, once you hear all of my ideas about this area of the park, I want to know about your ideas on how they could theme this area and what they could include in it if both Green Lantern and Kingda Ka do get removed. Now, my first prediction, I really do like it. I mean, overall, I think it's a great fit. It's going to mix in a brand new major coaster, plus some new flat rides, which Great Adventure could definitely benefit from. On top of that, we would see Six Flags Great Adventure open up a new record-breaking coaster that would dominate this side of the park. Now, obviously not dominate the way Kingda Ka did, but still, now hear me out. Prediction number 1, I think that we could see maybe over the course of 2 phases, phase 1 and phase 2, we would see Six Flags and Vekoma work together to bring 2 awesome coasters to the front of the park for Great Adventure. The longest one being a multi-launch coaster around the same size as Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood. And if you've ever been on Big Bear Mountain, this ride, they market it as a family coaster, and while it only offers a 39-inch height requirement, which is fantastic, the ride is phenomenal. It is so much fun. It's arguably the most fun coaster at Dollywood from start to finish. you're just gonna have a smile on your face, your hands in the air. The ride does so many great things. And even if this version at Great Adventure would be a little bit shorter, maybe only offer 2 launches, I really feel like a ride like that would do really well for Great Adventure and give the park a very long and enjoyable family coaster, something that the families can ride together for generations to come. On top of that, there's a ton of room here. Remember, 15 acres. I could also see, what if we would see a brand new record-breaking Vekoma tilt coaster interact with this new Big Bear Mountain style Vekoma family coaster. And I think if the tracks would interact together, we know Vekoma can do this. That would be legit awesome, because this tilt coaster would be around 180 to maybe 200 feet tall, feature anywhere from 4 to 5 inversions, crazy airtime, beautiful transitions. And I love the fact that the legacy Six Flags parks and Cedar Fair parks have recently started working with Vekoma, because Vekoma puts out a great product and they're up there, top 3 or 4 in the game when it comes to new roller coasters and all the great style of coasters that they're building. So something like Siren's Curse but larger, interacting with the Big Bear Mountain style of coaster would legit be awesome. I could also see the park add 2 or 3 flat rides to fill in this new themed area. I would love to see a Zamperla Windstar to go along with a Nubilez and Air Racer all in this area. I know this is probably a little far-fetched, but again, maybe do it phase 2, phase 3, maybe even a year or 2 apart from each other. Something like this would really give Great Adventure a well-balanced new area that features family, thrill, and just a really great look in this front of the park. And as sad as I would be for Kingda Ka to go, I think a giant version of Siren's Curse and a Big Bear Mountain style coaster, that's a nice replacement. Now, prediction number 2 is pretty obvious, and that is the Giga coaster. And it's been rumored now for around 2 or 3 years about Great Adventure getting a Giga. And there's been a lot of people to talk about it being a real possibility, as far as saying it was planned and there's been layouts already been designed. So I feel like with the merger, the Giga has never seen a better opportunity than it has right now. And I think a Giga coaster in this market is the best bang for the buck for the park. I feel like this would do what Fury did for Carowinds. And even though Carowinds is a smaller park to Great Adventure, Fury brought in a ton of new people to the park and created a hype around the park that obviously Kingda Ka has that. But not everyone wants to ride Kingda Ka due to how intense it is and how short it is, etc. At least with Fury, it's arguably the most re-rideable coaster in the top 10 out there. I mean, I love Iron Gwazi and Velocicoaster, but Fury is phenomenal. That thing is just, you get on it, you can ride 10 times in a row if you wanted to. It's so good. And with this area being so large, I could also see a few flat rides being added with prediction number 2 as well, like what I just mentioned for prediction number 1. Now, prediction number 3 is a record-breaking launched B&M wing coaster, just like Reptera, but larger, to mix in with, again, a few flat rides and a new Vekoma Boomerang family coaster. Now, I really like this because I know the new Six Flags loves working with B&M, and Great Adventure would replace an aging B&M coaster with a brand new B&M wing coaster. Now, as far as us enthusiasts go, this one doesn't excite me as much as the other 2 I just mentioned. But as far as the GP goes, they would eat this style of ride up, especially if done right with the theming, with the new Vekoma family boomerang coaster, maybe interacting with the ride some way, plus a few flat rides. I really like this fit. I think it's a very good fit for Great Adventure. But as far as which ones I think have the best chance of happening, and obviously I could be way off here and the park get none of these, but that's the beauty of doing the predictions and sharing my thoughts is I've never said I'm always right. I like to be right a lot of times, but this is how I'm going to break it down for you. With a 25% chance of happening, I could see the prediction number 1 happening, a Vekoma tilt coaster, as well as a Vekoma multi-launch family coaster like Big Bear Mountain. I just don't know if it makes sense to dump that much money into Great Adventure. I think it would make sense since they're removing Kingda Ka and Green Lantern. But again, that's a lot of money. Big Bear Mountain cost over $20 million, and I would guess that these tilt coasters would cost anywhere from $15 to $18 million. So that's roughly $40 million for 2 coasters. So I'm going to give that a 25% chance of happening. With a 35% chance of happening, I'm going to go with the B&M Wing Coaster route. Again, I really think this is a solid move for the park, for the GP, and a very marketable ride experience. And with a 40% chance of happening, I'm going to have to say the Giga Coaster. I really think, again, this makes the most sense for the park as far as the marketability goes, as well as you remove a 456-foot tall coaster and you replace it with a 340-foot tall maybe coaster. That's not horrible. GP would kind of freak out a little bit, but once they ride it, they would probably enjoy it even more than Kingda Ka, because the ride experience lasts longer than like the 30 seconds that you'd have on Kingda Ka. And not to throw a curveball out there, but a Giga the size of Fury in 2024, the money right now, you're talking, it would probably cost the park around $40 million to build. So who knows? Maybe they do go the route of the tilt coaster and the Big Bear Mountain family launch coaster. Either way, as much as I am sad about Kingda Ka potentially getting removed, I am very intrigued and excited about the future of what the new Six Flags has for this front area Great Adventure. Now, if you love stats about coasters, then you're going to want to watch this video at the bottom of your screen where I share with you the top 10 tallest roller coasters that you're going to find at Six Flags Great Adventure. And there's a few surprises on there that you probably will never expect. With that being said, what are your thoughts on Great Adventure's future? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and keep riding coasters.